I like microphones. I have respect for microphones. I own about 3 or 4 of them. When you turn on the record button, you have a responsibility to fill that time in with not just words, but insight. Even if you have a pause in between, that pause should be momentum that's leading to something, that's getting somewhere. I've always had that respect for microphones, even when watching political commentators that I hate. But to see how they can command your attention, just them and the microphone all by themselves. It's a skill that I would like to master. It's something that I would like to get really good at. And it's something that I'm creating and that I'm developing right at this minute. Microphones to me are a gateway to people's minds. It's a way that you can influence people while at the same time understanding that you are a maniac who is in his room by himself talking into a microphone. That balance that you're able to keep to understand that you have something to deliver to the audience, but at the same time, you are not a tyrant. You are not a leader. You are not a cult leader. You're just a speaker. And that's the beauty about a microphone. That's what I want to bring to you in this podcast right now. So thank you for joining me. This is the Ddotpodcast, I guess is what I would call it. You guys have been asking me to do long form content. And when I say you guys, I mean like 3 or 4 of you, which is basically 50% of my audience. You guys have been asking me to make this long form content because it's something that I've done in the past before. And now I've decided to do it. But since we're going to get this going, what I'd like to do, as just like I did on the other podcast that I had 3 or 4 episodes of with the late night listen, I want to take donations. And the reason why I want to take donations is because I do not make a lot of money making YouTube videos. Yes, of course, I do make money, not as much as your favorite YouTubers, but in order to sustain myself and to hopefully do this long term and to do this full time, I need your help because the YouTube algorithms are not swinging in my favor. So in the description below, I have my PayPal information, which if you would like to donate to me, you can do so by sending it to Ddotpodcast@gmail.com. That is my email on PayPal. That's Ddotpodcast@gmail.com. Any amount that you would like to donate if you have been a fan of this channel for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 5 months, 5 minutes, it does not matter. Your support is always appreciated, either if it's $1, $5, $20, $50. It's okay. And, I didn't cough there to underscore the 50. I'm just really sick right now. But moving forward with the podcast, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to discuss on the podcast, though I do know it's not going to be just hip hop. I often feel like when I'm thinking about making a bit of content or a video for you guys, I often feel very limited because my all of which I am, and that sounded douchey as fuck, all of what I am isn't just limited to hip hop. It's not just hip hop. I have other appetites. I have other things that I'd like to discuss, other things that I'd like to share with you guys. And sometimes hip hop just doesn't offer you much. I mean, let's take a look at this week, for example. I mean, what am I supposed to do? Am I, as a 36-year-old man, supposed to sit around and talk about the Cash Me Outside girl having some back and forth with Tekashi 69? I'm not going to do that because I feel like I am going to make you guys dumber by the second by talking about it. And that's why I refuse to talk about things like that, because they're just going to make you fucking stupid. And I'm going to feel like an idiot doing it myself, because don't forget, I have a personal life. I have a life that I have to maneuver through, and I have to respect myself every minute of the day. And if I spend even 15 minutes discussing what a 14-year-old girl has to say about some other person, I don't know what I'm doing with myself anymore. Look, I've already spent too much time talking about it, so let me stop. You'll have to forgive me if there's an echo in this room because I'm not recording how I normally do, which is with a bit of foam in front of me. So the sounds may be bouncing off of the walls. But as far as what hip hop gave you this week, I mean, just today, Cardi B's album drops. And I was fortunate enough to listen to Cardi B's album just this morning. And I'm going to give it to you like this. I like 3 songs off the album. I'm going to do pretty much what I always do when I talk to you guys about an album because I am not an album reviewer. I never have been, never will be. There is one person that does album reviews just as good as you can possibly do them, and that's Anthony Fantano, and also Mark from Spectrum Pulse, who also does a great job as well. So doing album reviews is it's a fool's errand. So there's 3 songs that I really liked from this album. I shouldn't say really liked. Let me not take it that far. There's one song that I really liked, and that was I Do with SZA. I enjoyed that track. Through Your Phone was another one. And Get Up 10 was the other song that I liked. Get Up 10, interestingly enough, was how she chose to start the album. I didn't listen to it in chronological order, but when I looked at the track list, I found out that it was the intro, I guess. And it's basically a ripoff of Meek's Dreams and Nightmares. I mean, that's what it is. It starts off with its soft piano chords, and then it sort of escalates, but not quite as much as Meek's song, but it tries to crescendo into something, and you'll excuse me if you hear I'm spitting that hot fire right now, dog, so that's why you're hearing the alarms in the back. So she tried to give you some of that, but the whole album was just vanilla to me. It's the Migos feature with the drip is just another Migos ripoff that was just handed to Cardi. What was it? There was another song with Chance the Rapper which was decent. But I didn't like the concept of the song. I thought it was just boring, living my best life. I get it. Positivity. We're all rah, rah, rah. It's just, it just doesn't do anything for me. There was also another record with Bad Bunny, who's a popular Puerto Rican trap rapper. Somebody that I've only known about for probably like a month now. I have a friend that really, he's on Bad Bunny's dick, but, he tried to give me some Bad Bunny, a crash course on Bad Bunny, but I just wasn't into it. And, Cardi, as I've told you guys, she's from Washington Heights. I know she's from the Bronx as well, but I'm from Washington Heights too, also Dominican like her. And when I see Cardi in interviews, I feel like I know her way too well because obviously being a Dominican man, I've been with Dominican women. And personally, I will tell you that I don't like Dominican women, really. I don't like Dominican women because I've always felt like they're too much like their mothers. They're too traditional. Tradition is something that I've always felt uncomfortable with because tradition means rigidness and you have to stay on a certain course. So it's about being consistent more than it is about being truthful to who you are. You understand what I'm trying to say? So I always feel like Dominican women are like their mothers because at the end of the day, what they would like to do is just to lay on their backs and just pop out as many children as possible to find the man to support them. And they really have no goals and they have no aspirations. So this is just me speaking in the women that I've met. Of course, I do not mean generally every Dominican woman out there is exactly like this, but I think this is the case with a lot of Caribbean women, period. I mean, Dominicans a lot of us are first generation in this country. So obviously we would be a lot like our parents. When you start to get into Puerto Rican women, their families have more generations here. So they are I feel like they're more within their identity than Dominican women, because sometimes I feel like Dominican women are trying so hard to show you that they are of their heritage, that they're of their culture, because Dominicans and Latinos in general were very culturally focused people. It's one of the reasons why so many of us have problems with the idea of being heavily melanated and being Dominican at the same time. In New York City, you deal with a lot of people who are just as dark as, I don't want to say Wesley Snipes. Everybody always says Wesley Snipes, but I guess I'll say Wesley Snipes. as dark as Wesley Snipes. I got to turn off this goddamn phone. Give me a second. See, this is raw. I don't edit this shit. Give me 1 second. See, you have to appreciate how raw I'm being here, because I didn't want to edit that out, and that's yet another reason why you should donate at Ddotpodcast@gmail.com. That's Ddotpodcast@gmail.com on PayPal. But like I was saying, there's a problem because you have people that are very dark, say as dark as Charlemagne the God. How about that? And they deny the fact that they are of any lineage to African descent at all. You know, like they don't understand the history of their own islands. They don't understand the history of Cuba. They don't understand the history of the Dominican Republic, of Puerto Rico, of Brazil. They don't know about any of it. So they fight the idea of anyone telling them that they are black because they think that black is just African American. They think it's just limited to that, and there aren't any other phases of being black. There aren't any other versions of being black. So we're very culturally focused people. And sometimes I feel like the women are trying so hard to show you, nah, nigga, this is how you talk. So I'm really not a fan of them. I haven't been a fan of them. I've been in a couple of relationships with a few Dominican women that didn't really work out. Currently I'm with someone who is half and half Puerto Rican, half Dominican, and she's enough of a there's a lot of heavy lifting. Let's put it like that. But when I listen to Cardi, I get a lot of that. So I'm very familiar with her. So I'd like to imagine that she'd be able to build from this and to create something better than this. I'm really hoping that she doesn't do music anymore. I hope that she goes into another form of creation, whether that be TV shows or movies, or I don't know what it is, but I just like her to stay away from the music. And I don't mean that maliciously, because I saw the interview that she did with Ebro for Beats One, and I imagine that this interview was done probably about 2 days ago, because I checked Ebro's Instagram and I saw the screenshot of him and Cardi sitting having the interview. So obviously that's after the news had came out that Cardi had a ghostwriter for Be Careful. He worded a question to her, saying like, oh, you were able to switch it up on Be Careful. And Ebro sort of opened up the door and gave Cardi the opportunity to walk through it and to just mention the ghostwriter's name. And she did. But they didn't build off of that. They didn't delve into that and say, okay, now that you brought it out into the open, let's talk about the ghostwriting. A couple things on the ghostwriting. I won't legitimize Cardi B as a lyricist by talking about she's been exposed. She is now a ghostwriter. The world is doomed. The sky is falling. By discussing it for more than 5 minutes, you are giving so much weight and validity to Cardi B as an artist, Cardi B as a serious creator, because even in this interview, Cardi let you know that yes, she would like to get better, but she has more drive to get to the money, and when a person tells you that, where they stand. She's being very honest. She's not telling you that I went into a dark place to make this album. I reached within the depths of my soul, and I was like, no, she's not telling you that. She's telling you, I like to get better, but I feel like I don't have any time for it. I feel like I have so many things to do and I'd like to be a better artist, but I just can't. That is absolutely honest, and she's not hiding it. So that's yet another reason why I really have no interest in talking about Cardi and the ghostwriting, because it really doesn't matter. There's so many people on that list of having ghostwriters way before Cardi. So to discuss it would be sort of foolish, and at the same time it would give too much legitimacy to Cardi B as an artist, period. But I'm a little disappointed that Ebro didn't go in a little bit more and push back a little, because you have her there for the interview, and Ebro is normally so He's so opinionated when it comes to his Hot 97 morning show. And I guess for Beats One, he's a bit of a cuck. But that's what sort of happens for Beats One. You know, it's more of a partnership between the artist and the company. So they're not going to give that much pushback. It's always going to be sort of a fluff interview a la Drake and Zane Lowe, not really asking him about the ghostwriters when that was on everybody's mind. So I've said all that to say this. I've said all the stuff about the Dominican women. I've said all the stuff about Cardi's songs that I liked and that I didn't like, to say that I don't want to talk about Cardi B's music anymore. And I don't want this thing that's happened to music for years to just, everybody's just headed to the bottom as quickly as they possibly can, because we're listening to songs like Drip and we're like, you know, God. If no one's ever heard my opinion on reaction videos, I got to tell you, I just cannot stand reaction videos, and people's thumbnails to reaction videos are just you are the toilet of content creation. And I don't care if no one else says it, because I'm going to be the person that says it. It's the worst thing you could possibly do is do reactions, you know? And I want to say that there have been some react channels that I've grown to like, even though I didn't love them at the beginning. I grew to like Big Quint's channel, because there was one thing that Big Quint always did. He would always jump in the middle of the reaction, and maybe he would start eating, you know, some food, and he'd tackle a subject that had nothing to do with the album that he was discussing, you know, and he always does that. So just because I see a pattern and I see a method to your madness, I see you lock something in there that makes the content your own, and I can appreciate that. But what I'm referring to is just the channels where it's just like, hey everybody, what's up? It's your boy, and I'm about to react to this video right here. Like and comment, subscribe, and then, you know, they just look at the screen, and then all of a sudden when something gets revealed, say for example, if it was a reaction of Joyner Lucas's video that I spoke about just a couple days ago, you know, it's revealed that the kid died because this bitch wanted to text and drive. And then when it's revealed that she's texting and driving, it's like, and then that's used for the thumbnail. It's the worst thing in the world, man. It's the worst thing in the world, because it's the one thing that we all do. We all consume content. Everyone is a reactor. Each and every person is a reactor. You could make a case and say that everybody is a commentator. Everybody does exactly what I am doing now. The only difference is, how are you going to do it? How are you going to set yourself aside from other people? Now, if you're reacting, it's something that elderly people do. It's something that children do. Everyone has a reaction to something. Now, if we understand that, we can also agree that sometimes there is no reaction to anything. For example, when I listened to Cardi B's album, I just stared at my screen, and I stared at it for the whole album. I had no reactions, and maybe that's due to the fact that people take music indifferently. Some people think more before the music starts to affect them physically. But reaction channels are just this disingenuous bullshit where you look surprised, and then when people stop it and they say like the most obvious things, and then and even worse, when they stop it for lyrics that are just vapid and corny and simple. Stop that right there. Dude, he just said he's hot like the sun. That's lit. That's lit. He's hot. All right, man. We gonna keep on. It's like, come on, dude. Come on. You gotta have some standards. You have to have some standards, and this is when I'm going to be the 36-year-old fucking old head. I'm not stopping a song to point out a simple simile, like I'm hot like the sun. And that's the type of shit that people do. They do simple stuff like that because I guess it feels like they're adding something in there, but it's nothing unique. It's not like Big Quint dropping what he does in the middle of the reaction to make it his own and to make it something that's only unique to him. But reaction channels are just so terrible in that way, especially because they come out so quickly. You know, they come out immediately when the record drops, the reactions are there, and obviously it makes it very easy to make the content because of that. And there's more viewership to be had because you're diving right into the search engines with the reaction. But it's just the thumbnail with the flames and the emojis and it's just, come on, guys, come on. I mean, 20 years from now, wherever the reactions will take you, did you become good at anything? Was there something that you got better at on the road to the reactions other than the viewership and the money that you made off AdSense? What gets better progressively? I don't give a fuck who. Listen, you guys have to understand this from me. I mean, you listen to my videos and then you may like it because you think that they're informative. You think that they are. You think that maybe they give some insight or something, but don't forget that I'm a New Yorker myself, and New Yorkers don't give a fuck about people's feelings, and we will give it to you straight up. So I don't know if you're listening to this in France, if you're listening to this in Montana, I don't care if you're listening to this wherever you are, just know that the soul of this channel has always been just a New York driven channel. It's in every bit of content where I talk about just East Coast privilege of being a hip hop head from New York City. It's all about that. So if you're going to listen to this content, I thank you for listening to it. And if it's something that you don't want to listen to because you think I'm being too cynical, you think I'm being too critical, then by all means, I'll still be making those videos on the channel. But this long form content is something just more real to the personality that to the person that I am, rather than the presentation that a lot of my videos sort of show you. So I'm not a fan, not a fan of the reactions. And maybe there are reaction channels that I watch. I watch DJ Ghost. That's a reaction channel that I watch because I feel like it's real. You know, DJ Ghost is just sitting there and he's just smoking, and he stops it to say something. It seems like it's real for some reason. It's not overtly emotional. The thumbnails aren't stupid and ridiculous. It's like, hey, we're gonna talk about this guy. Let's get it. Let's do it. So it's just cool. It's chill, and I can watch that. I can't watch it too much, but I'm able to watch it. Sean C is also another channel that I've seen before, but I wouldn't really consider his channel reactions, really. I guess it's a mixture of reaction and commentary, I guess you could say. But DJ Ghost is the one that I would watch the most. I think there's another guy that I forget. His name starts with an M, if you guys know who I'm talking about. Mimo. I'm not sure what his name is. But those reaction channels I've seen from a distance, but I generally just can't get with the run-of-the-mill react channel that that just has explosions in the background and whatever the fuck it is that they do. I mean, they get good at it. Get good at something, kids. Get good. Be skillful. Be skillful before you worry about being the biggest and the greatest and the fastest and the strongest. Get good. Get good at something, because that's what's going to hold. That's going to sustain you. When the climate changes, when content changes, when certain websites, who knows what happens to YouTube? You have to have a skill if you want to take this to another medium. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? That's all. That's all your buddy Uncle D Respect is trying to tell you. Don't take it so personal. And by the way, I mentioned Ebro because I heard this morning also that he had this thing with Tekashi 6ix9ine, and he was canceling or banning Tekashi from Hot 97's annual Summer Jam concert that I have never went to and never had the desire to go to, because Summer Jam is just, it's just one long afternoon of the music that you would never want to listen to on the radio. So why would you physically go to a place to listen to said music? I've never been into Summer Jam, but he's been banned from Summer Jam for reasons that aren't really too clear to me. I'm not going to look up information. It's not that serious for me. But I saw a connection between what happened with Tekashi 69 and an altercation that happened in Brooklyn just yesterday with a UFC fighter by the name of Conor McGregor, who you guys all know. Long story short, there is a UFC event this Saturday, and Conor McGregor had an issue with a fighter who's fighting on that card. Khabib Nurmagomedov. I'm not sure what his name is. And let's just call him Khabib. So Conor had found out that Khabib had a problem with one of his close friends. And when Conor found this out, he went down to the Barclays Center in Brooklyn and he took a hand truck and threw it at a bus. And now 3 or 4 fighters were hurt and the event has lost 2 or 3 cards. So I mention that because I can imagine something like that happening at Summer Jam with Tekashi 69. And I'm not going to say whether I think things are staged or, I just feel that whatever happened with Tekashi, the punishment doesn't seem to fit the crime if you're Hot 97 or Ebro. Like, I don't know exactly where this is coming from. Maybe somebody can educate me in the comment section, but I don't see where all of this is coming from, to get to the point where he is completely taken off the bill for Summer Jam. I mean, he is the biggest artist right now in New York City. A lot of people would say it's Cardi B, but Cardi's got her hands in so many different things that she doesn't really feel like a New York artist at the moment, But I'm sure she's going to headline. So maybe Hot 97 feels like they don't need Tekashi because they already have Cardi B. Unless Hot 97 has some streaming, some streaming business going on, I don't see where not having Tekashi would hurt them. If it has to do with streaming, then yes, that would hurt them because obviously announcing that Tekashi would be on Hot 97's Summer Jam would be a big deal to people all around the world, including all the little young trolls who love Tekashi so much. But I can imagine something like that happening. Like Tekashi goes to the venue and some incident happens and all of a sudden it's this great big deal and it's this whole big viral thing. And that's how Hot 97 can take all the attention away from Power 105 and they can finally win this weird dick measuring contest that they seem to have with one another. But I feel like the punishment didn't fit the crime, so I don't really understand why he kept him, why he's keeping him out of Summer Jam. But like I said, somebody please educate me in the comments section below. Let me know what you think. I'm gonna keep this podcast short this week. I'm gonna keep it to about 30 minutes. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. I'd like to know who would like to listen to it. I don't imagine that many of you would, but those of you that will really fuck with this, understand that this is the content that I would like to do. It's something that I've always done since before YouTube. I've always loved the format of a radio show. It's one of the reasons why I don't show my face because, well, number one, I'm a very private person and the whole internet thing just weirds me the fuck out. But I want you to listen to me rather than look at me. I think that's how you can really take my content in the best way. So I love the idea of just being one-on-one with the microphone and also having guests as well. So I want you guys to let me know what you feel is the best content for this particular radio show. I'm not exactly going to listen to you, but I would like to hear your suggestions. You can also email those to me at ddotpodcast@gmail.com. And with that email, you can also send me some donations. ddotpodcast@gmail.com. I really want to get this across, guys. Like I'm very serious about me appreciating any amount of money that you guys would donate to the show. This is a show that's going to be funded by you guys, and by the donations that you guys send, it gives me a very good indication on how you guys feel about the content. But there you go. Ddotpodcast, episode number 1. If indeed I will keep that name. It's a name that I've used in the past. Unless somebody figures out something else that I would like to use instead, it will remain the Ddotpodcast. But thank you for listening. And I will see you guys next time.